Audio version of the blog post, Open Source Data Lake Table Formats, Evaluating Current Interest and Rate of Adoption. Measuring the current levels of interest and potential adoption rates of leading data lake table formats using commonly available metrics. By Gary Stafford, Senior Solutions Architect, Amazon Web Services. Please note the written blog post contains a number of charts and graphs, not easily represented in this audio version. Introduction. This post examines the current levels of interest and potential adoption rates for the three popular data lake table formats, Apache Hudi, Apache Iceberg, and Delta Lake. Using publicly available data, this post unbiasedly reviews analytics community involvement, project activity, commercial support, and levels of third-party vendor integration. Understanding these metrics is critical to an organization's decision to adopt a data lake table format. Being confident that an open-source project or commercial product has sufficient backing, longevity and a robust user base must be part of any product selection criteria. Big Data and Analytics Market. According to PitchBook, U.S. venture capital-backed companies raised $329.6 billion in 2021, nearly double the previous record of $166.6 billion raised in 2020. According to CB Insights in their Global 2021 State of Venture report, global venture funding reached a record $621 billion in 2021, more than double the 2020 mark of $294 billion. According to FactSet, over 500 VC-backed companies became unicorns in 2021, reaching valuations over $1 billion, with some reaching decacorn status with a valuation of over $10 billion. Again, according to FactSet, global investments in the technology services sector in 2021 were 5 to 6 times greater than those in any other sector, including finance, commercial services, and health technologies. Within the technology services sector, investments in big data and analytics startups were red hot in 2021. This investment trend continues into Q1 2022. In late January, data warehouse startup Firebolt raised $100 million in a Series C funding round on a valuation of $1.4 billion. Also, in January, Prophecy, creators of an enterprise low-code data engineering platform, raised $25 million in a series of funding round. In February, Census, creators of operational analytics tools for non-technical users, raised $60 million in a Series B funding round on a valuation of $630 million. Also, in February, Starburst, creators of analytics solutions based on open source Trino, raised $250 million in a Series D funding round on a valuation of $3.35 billion. Finally, Superconductive, creators of Great Expectations, raised $40 million in a Series B funding round. Given the easy access to capital, an excessively high number of startups are currently competing for a share of the global big data analytics market, predicted to be worth $549.73 billion in 2028, according to Fortune Business Insights Big Data Analytics Market, 2021 to 2028 report. Based on the funding trends and levels of customer interest, the hottest areas within the big data analytics market segment are undoubtedly data warehousing, data lakes, data lakehouses, data mesh, data ops, and ultra-fast big data query engines. In addition, data governance, data lineage, data visualization, and low-code and no-code analytics solutions, which democratize access to data, also continue to gain attention. Data lake table formats. Within the data lake subsegment, data lake table formats are seeing increased interest from big data and analytics investors, vendors, and customers. The most popular data lake table formats, all open source, are currently Apache Hudi, Apache Iceberg, and Delta Lake. There are dozens of articles comparing and contrasting the quickly evolving technical capabilities of these data lake table formats, including those from Treeverse, Dremio, and Databricks. Standard features of data lake table formats include record-level upserts and deletes, ACID transactions, rollbacks, concurrency control, and time travel queries. These table formats operate atop popular object stores, such as Amazon Simple Storage Service, Amazon S3, Azure Blob Storage, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, Google Cloud Storage, Alibaba Cloud Object Storage Service, and Hadoop Distributed File System, aka HDFS. Competition. A specialized table format is not required to construct a data lake. Therefore, the most likely competitor to data lake table formats is organizations that choose not to employ a specialized table format when building a data lake. Increased capabilities often come with added complexity. Another competitor to table formats is data warehouses. When an organization decides to use a data warehouse, they potentially eliminate the need for a data lake and, hence, a data lake table format. The exception to this is the quickly evolving data lakehouse architectural pattern. According to Databricks, the data lakehouse is an open data architecture that combines the best of data warehouses and data lakes on one platform. Data is strategically dispersed across both the data warehouse and the data lake. Vendors are already building lakehouse products, such as Amazon Redshift Spectrum and the Databricks Lakehouse platform. Lastly, there is the potential that major cloud service providers and other analytics vendors will develop closed-source proprietary table formats, such as AWS's recently announced lake formation governed tables. Table format overviews. Apache Hudi. Website: hudi.apache.org. Website tagline: Hudi brings transactions, record-level updates, deletes, and change streams to data lakes. Website description: Hudi is a rich platform to build streaming data lakes with incremental data pipelines on a self-managing database layer while being optimized for lake engines and regular batch processing. Background: Apache Hudi, short for Hadoop upserts, deletes, and incrementals, was developed at Uber in 2016 and codenamed Hudi. Hudi was open-sourced in 2017 and submitted to the Apache Incubator in January 2019. In June 2020, Hudi became an Apache top-level project. Current version: 0.10.1 as of February 10, 2022. Commercial versions: Onehouse. Third-party support integrations, non-exhaustive list. 1. AWS EMR, Athena, Glue, Redshift Spectrum. 2. Google Cloud Data Proc. 3. Alibaba Cloud Data Lake Analytics. 4. Tencent Cloud, Elastic MapReduce. 5. Ahana.io Phase 3 Stack. Apache Iceberg. Website: iceberg.apache.org. Website tagline: The open table format for analytic datasets. Website description: Iceberg is a high-performance format for huge analytic tables. Iceberg brings the reliability and simplicity of SQL tables to big data while making it possible for engines like Spark, Trino, Flink, Presto, and Hive to safely work with the same tables, at the same time. Background: Apple and Netflix started the Iceberg project around 2018 to address the limitations in using Hive tables to store and query massive data sets. Iceberg began incubation on November 16, 2018. The Iceberg project graduated from incubation on May 20, 2020. Current version: 0.13.0 as of February 10, 2022. Commercial versions: Tabular Technologies. Third-party support integrations, non-exhaustive list. 1. AWS EMR, Athena, Glue. 2. Google Cloud Data Proc. 3. Dremio. 4. Starburst and Trino. 5. Snowflake. Delta Lake. Website: delta.io. Website tagline: Build lakehouses with Delta Lake. Website description: Delta Lake is an open-source project that enables building a lakehouse architecture on top of existing storage systems such as S3, ADLS, GCS, and HDFS. Background: Databricks created Delta Lake. Databricks was founded in 2013 by the original creators of Apache Spark, Delta Lake, and Moleflow. Delta Lake joined the Delta Lake project in 2019, which is a sub-project of the Linux Foundation projects. Current version: 1.1.0 as of February 10, 2022. Commercial versions: Databricks. Third-party support integrations, non-exhaustive list. 1. Google Cloud Data Proc. 2. AWS Redshift, Athena. 3. Dremio. 4. Snowflake. 5. Starburst. Measuring interest and adoption rate. Community involvement, open source project activity, and user engagement are all ways to measure the current level of interest and potential rate of adoption of a data lake table format. These metrics can be pulled from public and social media platforms, such as GitHub, Slack, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Medium, and Reddit. GitHub. Given the rich set of metrics available through GitHub, we can easily compare and contrast key aspects of the three data lake table formats. Conveniently, all three table formats are open source, with their source code located on GitHub. Apache Hudi, github.com/apache/hudi. Apache Iceberg, github.com/apache/iceberg. Delta Lake, github.com/delta.io/delta. The relative significance of each GitHub metric is subjective. For example, the number of stars a project has is often used to measure its popularity. However, when using stars as a measure, it is important to understand the age of the project and the distribution of stars over time. A project could have many stars, but they may have mostly occurred early in its lifetime. Few recent stars might suggest the project has dwindled in popularity or is less active than its competitors. We must examine multiple GitHub metrics to evaluate a project's overall health. The number of recent commits to the main branch, the number of active committers, and the organizations where committers are from can tell you a lot about a project. The number of active committers to a table format could indicate the level of adoption by organizations and commercial vendors. Understanding who the key committers are and the organizations they represent is essential, which can be difficult with GitHub. For example, a project might have a high number of commits but a low number of active committers from a single organization or commercial service provider. This disparity could indicate a project is just a watered-down, freemium version of the vendor's commercial edition. Another helpful pair of GitHub metrics is the frequency and consistency of releases. These can demonstrate a project's velocity. For example, neither Apache Hudi nor Apache Iceberg has released a major version, and Delta Lake only recently achieved the version 1.0 milestone in May 2021. Given a lack of major releases, we will examine the last 5 minor version releases for each table format. While it took Apache Hudi about 10 months to graduate from the incubation stage and release version 0.6.0, the project now maintains a steady pace of new minor releases. Apache Iceberg had the most rapid rate of minor release at an average release cycle of 127 days, ahead of Delta Lake at 144 days and Apache Hudi at 156 days. These results come with the caveat that Iceberg has only had 2 minor releases, according to GitHub. Consequently, Iceberg's GitHub tags were used to track their pre-release, minor versions. Another caveat, Delta Lake appears to have skipped version 0.9.0, moving from version 0.8.0 to version 1.0.0. Releasing version 1.0 traditionally came with the cachet that customers assumed software had at least all major features and was deemed reliable enough for general release. Accelerating release velocities while reducing the overall value of minor releases for end users just to hit the version 1.0 milestone is sometimes perceived as a marketing strategy. Similar to commits, metrics like the number of watchers, forks, pull requests, and issues can speak to the level of interest and adoption of a GitHub project. For example, the number of watchers, pull requests, and issues vary significantly between table formats. Apache Hudi has about 23% more forks and a significantly higher number of watchers compared to Apache Iceberg and Delta Lake. Delta Lake has very few pull requests compared to Apache Iceberg and Apache Hudi. Apache Iceberg has a much higher number of issues than the other 2 formats. A GitHub project's pulse, part of insights, including merged pull requests, open pull requests, closed issues, and new issues, can also reflect project activity and potential adoption rate. We see a stark difference in the activity between the 3 projects for merged pull requests, open pull requests, closed issues, and new issues during the most recent 1-month span. Apache Hudi had the most activity across all these metrics during this specific period, while Delta Lake had far less activity than Apache Hudi and Apache Iceberg. Apache Software Foundation Jira. In addition to or as an alternative to GitHub, projects such as the data lake table formats may use alternate mechanisms to track project issues. For example, as Apache Hudi project lead Vinod Chandra points out, Hudi tracks community support issues on GitHub. However, Hudi also uses the Apache Software Foundation's Atlassian Jira platform, ASF Jira, to track Hudi issues. Similar to GitHub, ASF Jira contains a rich set of metrics and reports that can demonstrate the level of an Apache project's activity. Unfortunately, Apache Iceberg does not appear to use AFS Jira, nor does Delta Lake use the Linux Foundation Jira issue tracker, making comparing table formats impossible. Slack. Slack can also be a good measure of a table format's current level of interest and potential adoption rate. Conveniently, all 3 data lake table formats have public Slack workspaces. Apache Hudi, apachehudi.slack.com. Apache Iceberg, apacheIceberg.slack.com. Delta Lake, deltausers.slack.com. According to Slack, every Slack workspace has a hashtag general channel, which is the only channel that members, but not guests, are automatically added to and unable to leave. We can see a significant difference in the number of members in each project's hashtag general channel. Delta Lake's general channel is currently restricted and inactive, with the last publicly viewable message on September 30, 2021. This should be taken into account when comparing metrics. Unlike the general channel, where members are automatically added to and unable to leave, joining additional Slack channels is a member's choice. Looking at the top 5 channels based on membership, excluding general, we see a significant difference between Delta Lake's top 5 channel memberships and the other 2 table formats. Since Delta Lake's general channel is restricted and inactive, members are more likely to join other channels, like Delta Lake OSS, potentially inflating those channels' membership. This should be taken into account when comparing metrics. Another potential measure of a table format's current level of interest and the possible adoption rate is the total number of Slack messages in their workspace. It is important to understand how long the workspace has been available when weighing the significance of the total number of accumulated messages. Unfortunately, we cannot see the total number of Delta Lake Slack messages. However, based on the number of channels and number of members in each of those channels, it is likely that the total number of Delta Lake Slack messages is as high or higher than Apache Hudi. Compared to Apache Iceberg, the Apache Hudi community on Slack is 7.8 times more active based on the total number of messages. Twitter offers yet another potential measure of the current level of interest and possible adoption rate of a table format. Since all 3 table formats are open source projects, they are more apt to have a presence on Twitter as opposed to LinkedIn. Apache Hudi, twitter.com/Apache Hudi. Apache Iceberg, twitter.com/Apache Iceberg. Delta Lake, twitter.com/Delta Lake OSS. With Twitter, we see a significant difference in the number of followers between each project. One assumption might be the sheer scale of Databricks undoubtedly drives a lot of Twitter followers to Delta Lake. The number of tweets mentioning a table format is also a useful metric. YouTube activity can be another good indicator of a data lake table format's current level of interest and potential adoption. Neither Apache Hudi nor Apache Iceberg has its own YouTube channel, while Delta Lake is included on Databricks' YouTube channel. Regardless, all 3 table formats are frequently featured in analytics community events and vendor videos. Similar to the top 5 Slack metric, we can look at the total number of views for the top 5 most relevant videos during the past 12 months, according to YouTube's relevance algorithm. We can see Delta Lake views far exceed those of Apache Hudi and Apache Iceberg. The halo effect on Delta Lake by videos produced by Databricks or featuring the Databricks platform cannot be denied. To a lesser degree, videos featuring Hudi and Iceberg, produced by large cloud service providers such as AWS and as part of major industry events like AWS reInvent, also drive higher viewership. Google Trends. Unfortunately, given the generic nature of the term Delta Lake, it is impossible to accurately compare the number of searches for each data lake table format using Google Trends. For example, results for the term Delta Lake include geographic locations with the same name, yielding an inflated number of results. Conversely, a more specific phrase, like Databricks Delta Lake, sharply reduces the number of results and likely excludes many relevant searches. It is evident that the worldwide number of searches for Apache Hudi was higher than Apache Iceberg in the last 12 months. It also appears that searches for Apache Iceberg and Databricks Delta Lake in the United States almost all originated from California, likely due to the predominance of technology startups and investors in the Silicon Valley San Francisco Bay Area. However, searches for Apache Hudi appear to be more geographically diverse within the United States. This observation might suggest a broader interest and adoption of Apache Hudi. Other metrics. Countless other metrics can reflect the current level of interest and potential adoption of a data lake table format. Commercialization. The ability of a company to successfully attract funding for the development and release of a commercially supported version of an open source project is another metric often viewed as a measure of potential success. In addition, having the project's creators involved in founding the company is viewed as an additional measure of success and adoption potential. All 3 table formats have startups developing commercial versions, founded by the project creators, which are as follows. 1. Company, OneHouse. Table format, Apache Hudi. Website, onehouse.ai. Maturity, very early stage VC, 1 funding round, seed, $8 million. OneHouse is led by Vinod Chander, the CEO and founder and creator of Apache Hudi at Uber. OneHouse just came out of stealth mode and announced seed funding co-led by Greylock Partners and Addition on February 2, 2022. 2. Company, Tabular Technologies. Table format, Apache Iceberg. Website, Tabular.io. Early stage VC, 1 funding round, Series A, $11.2 million. Tabular Technologies is led by Ryan Blue, the co-founder, CEO, and co-creator of Apache Iceberg at Netflix, and Daniel Weeks, the co-founder, head of engineering, and co-creator of Apache Iceberg at Netflix. Tabular is also a newcomer, recently receiving series of funding from Andreessen Horowitz in 2021. 3. Company, Databricks. Table format, Delta Lake. Website, databricks.com. Maturity, late stage venture, pre-IPO, 9 funding rounds, Series H, $3.5 billion. Databricks, the creators of Delta Lake, was founded in 2013. Databricks has received an incredible $3.5 billion in 9 rounds of funding. Unlike OneHouse and Tabular, Databricks has a portfolio of product offerings in addition to its commercial version of Delta Lake. CSP and major vendor adoption, integration, and compatibility. According to Statista, in Q4 2021, the 4 largest cloud service providers, CSPs, AWS, Microsoft, Google, and Alibaba controlled approximately 70% of the cloud infrastructure market. The top 8 CSPs owned 80% of the market. Given this high concentration of potential customers, the level of adoption, integration, and general compatibility of a data lake table format with major CSPs and third-party vendors is an additional method for assessing the potential rate of adoption. However, determining this metric requires an understanding of the core technologies underlying the CSP or vendor's services and arguably the size of the existing and potential customer base for those services. For example, AWS supports Apache Hudi and Apache Iceberg for several of its analytics service. Amazon EMR, Amazon Athena, and AWS Glue support Hudi, and Amazon Athena and AWS Glue now support Iceberg. AWS recently announced its own proprietary native data lake table format, Lake Formation Governed Tables. Their table format will surely consume some of the potential customer bases for Hudi and Iceberg on AWS. Azure, Alibaba Cloud, and Google Cloud also support Hudi and Iceberg to varying degrees. User base size and quality. The number of organizations that use a data lake table format is a good measure of adoption. However, simply looking at a list of organizations that use a particular table format doesn't reveal the level of adoption within those organizations. For example, many vendors list customers who simply POC their product or service or whose use is limited to a single small team within an organization. In my opinion, organizations who are actively using these table formats in production and at scale are the most significant measure of a format's likely success. The size and influence of an organization can also be a good indicator of the broader industry's potential adoption rate. Recently published customer testimonials, case studies and joint webinars, industry events, articles, and blog posts are excellent resources to better understand a table format's level of adoption by an organization. Conclusion. In this post, we measure the current level of interest and potential adoption rate for the 3 most common data lake table formats, Apache Hudi, Apache Iceberg, and Delta Lake. We accomplish this by examining analytics community involvement, open source project activity, commercial support, and levels of third-party vendor integrations to achieve this, using publicly available metrics. Understanding these metrics is critical to an organization's decision to adopt a data lake table format. I would enjoy hearing what criteria your organization uses when making a decision to adopt a data lake table format. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter at Gary Stafford. This blog represents my own viewpoints and not of my employer, Amazon Web Services, AWS. All product names, logos, and brands are the property of their respective owners. Citing third-party statistics does not in any way assure their accuracy. Bridge over water image, copyright, Peshkov.